Long ago, in a small fishing village along the coast of Nigeria, there lived a humble fisherman named Ayo. He was known for his kind heart, strong arms, and a little wooden canoe that had belonged to his father. Every morning, before the first rooster crowed, Ayo would paddle into the sea to cast his nets, singing songs that his father had taught him. Omini Babawa, Omini Iyawa. The water is our father, the water is our mother. But there was one place the fishermen never dared to go, the forbidden waters. It was a part of the ocean where the waves shimmered strangely, and the wind carried voices that didn't belong to men. The elders warned, in the forbidden waters lives Ezenwanyi Omiri, the spirit of the deep. Whoever sails there will never return. One evening, as the sun dipped into the sea, Ayo sat on the sand counting the few fish he had caught. His net had been coming up nearly empty for weeks. His neighbors whispered that perhaps the gods were angry with him. His mother sighed, Ayo, maybe it's time you find another trade. The sea is no longer blessing you. But Ayo shook his head. Fishing is in my blood. I will not give up. That night, while everyone slept, Ayo walked to the shore. The moon was round and silver, painting a path of light across the sea. The waves lapped gently, almost as if they were calling him. A strange thought entered his mind. What if the fish are hiding in the forbidden waters? His heart pounded. He remembered the elders' warnings, but hunger and desperation pushed him forward. With quiet steps, he dragged his canoe into the water and began to paddle toward the place where the sea shimmered like glass. The further he went, the quieter the world became. No birds, no crickets, not even the sound of the waves, just silence. His canoe slid into the forbidden waters. The sea below glowed faintly, as if lit from within. Then, suddenly, his net grew heavy. Ayo's eyes widened. He pulled and pulled, sweat dripping down his brow. At last, he heaved the net into the canoe and gasped. Inside was a fish unlike any he had ever seen. Its scales glittered with the colors of the rainbow. Its eyes gleamed like stars. And when it opened its mouth, a soft voice whispered, Fisherman, why have you come here? Ayo stumbled backward, dropping his paddle. His heart raced. The fish was speaking. I came for food, Ayo stammered. My people are hungry. The fish's eyes glowed brighter. You have entered the realm of the spirit of the deep. You should not be here. Before Ayo could answer, the sea around his canoe began to swirl. The water rose in tall, twisting columns, and from beneath the glowing waves, a shadow rose, vast, graceful, and terrible. It was the spirit of the deep herself, Ezenwanyi Mamiri. Her hair was made of flowing water. Her eyes shone like moonlight. Her voice was like 1,000 waves crashing together. Ayo the fisherman, she said slowly, her words echoing across the sea. You have dared to take what is mine. Now, you must pay the price. The waves slammed against his canoe, nearly capsizing it. Ayo clung desperately to the sides, his heart in his throat. The spirit's watery hands reached out, curling around his canoe. Then, silence. She leaned closer, her glowing eyes fixed on him. Tomorrow night, she whispered, you must return to these waters, alone. Or else, the sea will claim you. And before Ayo could reply, the spirit vanished, leaving the canoe rocking wildly. The rainbow fish was gone. Only the shimmering path of moonlight remained. Ayo sat frozen, his breath coming in sharp gasps. He realized he had made a bargain he didn't understand. But what awaited him tomorrow night? Will Ayo obey the spirit's command and return, or will he risk defying her wrath? Ayo did not sleep that night. He sat by the fire in his mother's hut, staring into the flames. The spirit's words echoed in his head. Tomorrow night, you must return to these waters, alone. By dawn, his eyes were heavy with fear, yet his mother noticed. My son, she asked gently, what troubles you? But Ayo could not bring himself to tell her the truth. Who would believe that he had spoken to a fish that talked and a spirit made of water? All day, he watched the sea from the shore. The other fishermen paddled out, casting their nets, but Ayo's canoe remained tied. His heart thudded every time he thought of the spirit's glowing eyes. By evening, curiosity and dread battled inside him. What if he refused to return? Would the spirit really punish him? Or worse, punish the whole village? As the moon rose, Io whispered to himself, I must go. If I face her, maybe she will let me live. He untied his canoe and paddled into the silver path of moonlight. The waters grew quiet again, and soon he was back in the forbidden waters. His hands trembled as he clutched his paddle. Suddenly, whoosh, a giant wave rose and curled above him. The spirit of the deep appeared once more, her form towering over his canoe. Her hair flowed like a river, her eyes glowing brighter than before. You kept your word, she said. Few mortals dare return. Io swallowed hard. Please, great spirit. I came because I was desperate. I meant no harm. The spirit tilted her head, studying him. The sea is not yours to take from freely. Everything in these waters belongs to me. She raised her hand, and from the glowing waves, the rainbow-colored fish leapt into the air and landed in her palm. It shimmered and blinked at Io as if it pitied him. You caught one of my sacred children, the spirit said. Such an offense cannot go unpunished. Io's chest tightened. Then, what will you do to me? For a long moment, the spirit was silent. Then, her watery face softened. Yet, I see courage in you, and honesty. Perhaps there is another way. Her voice rolled like thunder. If you wish to leave, you must prove yourself. Bring me the shell of echoes from the cave of tides before the next moon sets. Only then will your life be spared. The shell of echoes? Io stammered. He had heard whispers of it in old village tales. It was said to lie deep within a cave, guarded by strange creatures, a shell that could repeat the voice of anyone who spoke into it. Yes, the spirit said, her eyes gleaming. Succeed, and you will not only live, but the sea will bless you with endless fish. Fail, and the ocean will swallow you whole. With that, the spirit dissolved into mist, and the sea fell silent. Io's canoe rocked gently, as if nothing had happened, but his heart was pounding. He paddled back to shore, the spirit's command burning in his mind. As he dragged his canoe onto the sand, he whispered, "The cave of tides, how will I ever find it?" He didn't know that someone had been watching from the shadows of the palm trees. A figure stepped forward slowly, eyes glinting in the moonlight. It was the village trickster, Okonkwo, known for his sly smile and love of mischief. "I know where the cave of tides is," Okonkwo said softly, "but helping you will come at a price." Will Io trust the cunning trickster to guide him, or is this a trap that could cost him everything? The night breeze rustled the palms as Io turned to face Okonkwo, the trickster. His sly smile glimmered in the moonlight. "You?" Io asked, suspicious. "How do you know about the cave of tides?" Okonkwo chuckled. "I know many things, Fisherman. I've wandered farther than anyone in this village. I've heard the whispers of spirits, seen treasures men dare not touch. I can lead you to the cave of tides, but nothing comes free." Io frowned. "What do you want?" The trickster's grin widened. "Half of whatever blessing the spirit gives you." Io hesitated. Okonkwo was cunning, always weaving lies, but he also knew paths others feared, and the spirit had given him little choice. Slowly Io nodded. "Fine, take me there." By dawn, the two men set out, traveling along the rocky coastline. For hours they walked, until the waves grew wilder, crashing against jagged cliffs. Hidden between two enormous boulders was the mouth of a dark cave, roaring with the sound of water rushing in and out. Okonkwo gestured. "The cave of tides. Inside lies the shell of echoes, but beware, this place is not for ordinary men." Io gripped his paddle tightly, using it as a staff. He stepped into the cave, the air damp and heavy with salt. Strange shadows flickered across the walls, and the sound of dripping water echoed like whispers. Deeper and deeper they went until they reached a vast chamber where the tide surged in, filling the cave, then drained out again with a deafening roar. There, on a stone pedestal in the center, lay a shell that glowed faintly like the moon. It was larger than Ayo's head, its spirals shimmering with silver light. The shell of echoes, Ayo breathed. But before he could step forward, the water churned violently. Out of the tide rose 3 monstrous crabs, their claws snapping, their eyes glowing red. Guardians of the shell. Okonkwo leapt back, shouting, "You deal with them, fisherman! This is your task." Ayo's heart pounded. He gripped his paddle and faced the creatures. As the first crab lunged, he swung hard, striking its shell. Crack! The crab tumbled back into the water. The second snapped its claw at his leg, but Ayo dodged and struck again, splitting the claw in 2. The third was the largest. It charged, pushing him toward the rushing tide. Ayo stumbled, nearly falling into the surging waters, but at that moment he remembered his father's words. The sea listens to courage, not fear. He shouted with all his might, "Great Spirit of the deep, guide my hand," and swung his paddle with every ounce of strength. The crab let out a screech, then collapsed, sinking beneath the waves. Panting, Ayo stumbled to the pedestal. He picked up the glowing shell of echoes, and as he held it, the cave filled with a soft hum, voices, whispers, laughter, songs, echoes of every soul that had ever touched the sea. Okonkwo's eyes gleamed with greed. "Now give it to me, fisherman. We had a deal." But before Ayo could answer, the tide surged upward, sweeping both men out of the cave and back into the open sea. A giant wave rose, and from it, the spirit of the deep emerged once more. "You have done well, Ayo," she said, her voice rolling like thunder. "You faced my guardians and claimed the shell of echoes with courage. The sea will remember your name." She turned to Okonkwo, who trembled under her gaze. "But your heart seeks only greed. You shall never know the sea's blessing." The spirit's watery hand swept him away, and Okonkwo vanished beneath the waves, never to return. Then she faced Ayo, her eyes gentle. "From this day, your nets will always be full. The ocean will provide for you and your people. But remember, never again take more than you need." With that, the spirit dissolved into mist, leaving Ayo floating safely near the shore, the shell of echoes still glowing in his hand. When he returned to the village, the people gasped at his tale. From that day on, Ayo's nets overflowed with fish, enough to feed everyone, yet he never boasted, never grew greedy. And on quiet nights, he would lift the shell of echoes to his ear and hear the sea whisper back. Moral of the story: true courage lies not in greed, but in respecting the gifts of nature. When we take only what we need, the world continues to bless us,